Hey YouTube, today we're gonna add auto on headlights to this Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is a 2001 Jeep WJ and it comes with the standard headlights. We're gonna add auto on headlights to it. To do that, we really only need two things. We need a new light stock, one that has the auto on feature and it says auto on it. And this other thing is a sunlight sensor or a light sensor that turns the lights on and off once this auto is activated. To replace the standard light stock on this Grand Cherokee, we need to remove the housing around the steering column, and we need to remove this little plastic bezel here. It just so happens that I put these switches for these lights right on this thing, so it might pose a little bit of a problem, but we'll see. All right, working the underside of this steering column. It's just a Phillips screwdriver, a Phillips screw. All right, with our screw out, we need to just pop this bezel off, and maybe I could just let it hang to the side, so I don't have to unplug these switches, just like that. And when you screw off these little things, should just, the steering wheel, the column housing should just pop off. And then there are two screws. There's one right here and one right here. You just take those off and there should be a wiring harness somewhere in there and the entire stock comes off. There's a wiring harness on the stock, you just need to pull it out. I think you just squeeze this button and pull it out. Yeah, can't do it with one hand, but that's all you do. You just squeeze this and pull it out. I plugged the new stock up, or the wiring harness into the new stock, and we just slide it right back from where the other one came out from and just tighten them back up with screws. Okay, back in. You just put two screws back in. One at the top, one at the bottom. And then just tighten them back up. With this new light stock in place, we now need to remove the instrument cluster and this top panel right here. This should be relatively easy to pop off because this little spot here is where the sun load sensor goes. There are 4 screws to remove the instrument cluster. There's 1, 2, and then there's 2 up under here. 1, 2. We're gonna go ahead and remove those. And here's a wiring harness clip right back here. You could use just a trim tool or something like that here to just lift this up. Alright, that thing just pulls out. And then on the inside here, there's a little wiring harness. That should be the wiring harness for the sun sensor that's screws right in here. I just gotta find it. It's under there somewhere. Here we go. Here's the little plug for the sundial or the sun sensor, and you just gotta fish it up through there so it could come up here so that you could screw it in or plug it in and then screw the sun sensor into those 2 little screws. This sun load sensor is up here. It was a little bit of a whale trying to fish that wire in. But you just plug that in there like so, and the red gotta face you and the little white sensor faces out. Gotta remove these 2 little Phillips screws and screw this thing down. Alright, so I have this sun sensor in place. The wiring harness plugged up, hopefully is all done right. Now I'm just gonna replace the bezel on the top, and replacement and putting together is the opposite of removal. So I'm just going to do that real quick and then come back and test it. Alright, so this stock's replaced. It has the auto. This one also has the switch for fog lights and the sun sensor up there. What should happen is when I start this up now with this in auto, if the light's bright enough, I should get no headlights. But if I don't get headlights, I'm gonna cover that up with our rag and see if the headlights come on. Let's give it a try. So I think it's actually gotten too dark now. It's kind of dust dark. You don't really see it out here. But I could turn this thing on. It's on auto. And the headlights are on. I don't know how to simulate the sunlight because this thing actually needs sunlight. You can't just show a flashlight on there and it go off. But apparently it works. So we'll test it out in the daylight again. It's the next day and there's enough light outside where the sun load sensor would pick up the sunlight. So let's test this thing out, okay? Let's go ahead and start up, turn it on, and see that there's no lights coming on, and then I'll throw our rag over the sun load sensor and see the lights coming on. I put a couple rags on there because the light traveling through the windscreen was actually hitting the sun sensor. But you can see headlights on. And this thing's still on auto. The next thing I'm gonna do is add fog lights. All of these WJs are wired up for fog lights, and all it takes is pulling that, putting the fog lights in, and putting a relay in. That's on another video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless.